Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. 12 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, 10th day of December, 2024. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air right here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we broadcast at 103.3 FM, and if you're listening anywhere else on Earth, you've gone to our website to do that, ksje.com, or maybe you've asked your smart speaker to play KSJE, because it should do that if it's smart enough. I also want to welcome our viewers this morning who are joining us. The video of this program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard, everyone. I am glad that you're with us today because we are getting a year-end update from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. Jamie Church is here to talk with me about that, and also, of course, some upcoming events, because the Chamber is always having upcoming events. And so we'll be talking about that in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Then later on this morning, it is Tuesday, our Adopt a Pet Tuesday segment. We'll be talking with Amber Francisco from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. She'll be telling us about some of the pets available for adoption this week, including that good-looking dog on the screen right there. His name is, guess what? Hot Chocolate. We'll talk about him coming up today at 8:50 a.m. on KSJE. Mick Hess will take over the studio, Roving with the Arts, our weekday classical music program next hour here on KSJE as well. I want to thank everyone who joined us for our KSJE On the Road programs last week. They're still available to watch and join us on Facebook or YouTube. The Mayor's Reading and Tree Lighting Ceremony from the Festival of Trees, of course, the Farmington Christmas Parade from last week, of course, and the San Juan College Luminaria displays from last Saturday. Check it out and see some really great visuals from those great local events on our KSJE On the Road programs on Facebook and on YouTube. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, it's a sunny but cold morning, 22 degrees at the moment. It's going to get a little bit warmer, but not as warm as we've seen. 36 is only as warm as it's going to get today in Farmington, but plenty of sunshine. Tonight, clear skies, a low 18. It'll be partly sunny and 38 tomorrow, partly sunny and 47 on Thursday, sunshine 46 on Friday, 48 again on Saturday, 53 and partly sunny skies by Sunday, and you can see overnight lows still in the mid to upper 20s. Back with my guest, Jamie Church from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce, right after this. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The most important ingredients to sustaining health and wellness are the resources and tools that help you live a vibrant and healthy life. At San Juan Regional Medical Center, the goal is to promote health by making sure those resources are available. Find the path to the best life at lifebetterhere.com. San Juan Regional Medical Center. Better is our mission, improving lives through personalized health and care. Back in Studio A this morning with my guest, as I mentioned, Jamie Church from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce is here with me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Season's greetings.
Yes, it's our last show of the year.
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
I
can't believe we're actually sitting here saying it's the last show of the year.
Yeah, but the viewers should not despair because we've been in negotiations that you're coming back in 2025.
Yes. Oh, yes. Don't despair.
Your people have called my people, and we've got that worked out, right?
We got it worked out.
Okay, good.
Oh, my gosh. I feel like it was just January, and I was here talking about
stuff,
and here we are. But
it's crazy to me, too. Yeah.
But there is a lot going on.
A lot.
And I know you're going to show our things going on, the chambers,
we will.
but I just want to give a shout out because we share through our chamber newsletter and our Facebook page all these events going on through the community. And it is just amazing to me. A community of our size puts on so many quality events. You mentioned Christmas Parade, which was last week, which was done by the Young Professionals Network,
Right.
and that was in downtown Farmington. The whole Festival of Trees, which is a huge event, takes just an inordinate amount of volunteers. There was the tree lighting, there are luminaries, the River Glow. There's a parade tonight in Bloomfield.
That's right.
Aztec is having, not to mention just the art walk that was downtown and the whole campaign that we were part of is, Shop Local,
That's right.
which is still going on, by the way. We
That's
don't
true.
ever want to stop that. But then just there's a blanket drive going on right now for seniors from the Bloomfield Senior Center, and the Chamber's one of the drop-off spots. There's a Socks for Seniors campaign going on where you can drop off socks. And then there's, and it's amazing to me how much is going on in the community, but it all takes these volunteers. And,
Right.
just well done to all of the areas, Farmington, Aztec, Bloomfield, Kirtland, San Juan County, just really well done, everybody, to do all these things. And for families and community. That's
Right.
why we do it. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
Very
just
true.
Want to give a shout out to everybody.
Exactly. And we care about the place that we live and, want to make it a better
Right.
place and help those who are maybe struggling. And so
That's right.
there's a lot of ways to do that. You don't have to look very far to be able to help someone
Right.
who is in need this holiday
Exactly. So reach out and drop a blanket by the chamber, just a
Yes.
new kind of fuzzy throw. I walked in Monday morning and I was like, whoa, we're getting quite a few blankets here. So
See?
people are very generous. We care about the seniors too. I think often we think a lot about at the holidays children, which
Yeah,
of course
sure.
we do. I have grandchildren. I think about my grandchildren, but
And there are Toys for
seniors-
Tots campaigns
yes,
too,
there
certainly.
are lots of Toys for Tots. But seniors often are that population that maybe they don't have family near. They're kind of isolated sometimes. So I think it's great that some of these organizations and civic groups are specifically working to do things for seniors. So,
Yeah.
and of course, my sister runs a senior center
Right.
in Bloomfield. So shout out. But it is important, and we don't want to forget our seniors.
No,
So
very, very true.
Yeah.
And as you said, the Chamber has some events coming up too.
We do. We
And
do.
let's talk a little bit about those because one is tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Right, exactly.
And this is another way for you to give back because this is a big food drive for Echo Food Bank. So it is our annual December Business After Hours. It is sponsored by the Kaiser Levitt Insurance Group, Courtyard by Marriott, and of course Echo. So for every can or every package of non-perishable food that you bring, you get a raffle ticket, and then you're entered into win prizes. And then you can bring $5 cash as well to play for this chance to win $250 because everybody can use some extra money
Sure.
during the holidays. So this is an annual favorite, and it's fun, dress in your holiday finery. There's going to be music, a photo booth, some dancing, just a really fun time. But the real thing is this bringing food for Echo. I know it's one of their biggest food drives that they do throughout the year.
Right.
So if you are a member of the Chamber, of course, you are welcome. And if you are not a member of the Chamber, we welcome you to come to this Business After Hours as well. So thank you to Kaiser Levitt for doing this once again. And that is tomorrow, begins at 5 o'clock at the Courtyard by Marriott.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. It's one of my favorite events to go to because
Yes.
everyone is all dressed up. You're right about
Yes.
that. And be able to drop off some food for a great cause as well. So that's really important. And then we'll jump into January,
Okay,
right? Because
let's
you have
jump
another
into January.
big event, right? That
We
is
do.
the annual
It
banquet
is.
for the Chamber.
That's right. So this is our Best of Farmington, and that's kind of now what we're calling it because we do highlight some local restaurants. We're doing the same thing we did last year where it's sort of heavy appetizer stations, and you can try some food from Piochi Food Group and Clancy's and Chili Pod. We might have a couple other little surprises as well. It's at the Civic Center, and it's Dress Your Best. So somebody was asking me, what's the theme? And I said, well, the theme is just dress your best. What is it could be really nice jeans and a cowboy hat. It could
Okay.
be all sparkles and glitter. I mean, just dress your best. The other thing that is really special about this banquet is it is where we announce our Business of the Year, our Citizen of the Year. And this year we've added on a new category, which is Nonprofit of the Year, because we do recognize that nonprofits put in a tremendous amount of work for the quality of life. They provide programs and resources, and often we don't remember that they are run by executive directors and boards of directors and things like that. And they really provide services that if they didn't provide those services, the city or the county would have to pick up those services. And so it really, nonprofits are incredibly important. So if you want to nominate either a business, a citizen, or a nonprofit, all you have to do is go to our website, which is gofarmington.com, and right there on the home page is a way for you to just click and make your nomination.
And an online form kind of
It's
thing?
an online
right?
form.
Nice.
Of course, the more information you
Sure.
provide to us, the better.
Well, sure.
But you have been Citizen of the Year before. I have been Citizen
right.
of the Year before.
Well, I know since
And-
I was honored, the bar's been raised quite a bit. So I'm glad to see that.
I say that too. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not sure I would have ever been Citizen of the Year with some of these amazing people that are doing things now. But Citizen of the Year is really just that person or group of people, that
True.
that really goes above and beyond to do things for the community, kind of outside of their job too, because we know people work really hard within their job, but what are people doing outside beyond that to help improve the community? It could be somebody who's a real philanthropist. We've honored philanthropists before.
Right.
And then the business of the year is just that business that you feel really contributes to the economic development of the community, but the business community as well. And to win the honor, they do need to be a chamber member. However, you can nominate any business, and we will recognize those businesses at the banquet. That's one change we made last year, is we recognize all the nominees. But to actually win the business of the year, they do need to be a chamber member. And then nonprofit of the year is a 501c3 organization within Farmington or San Juan County that provides those services and those programs. Of course, we honored Michelle Meyering with the Boys and Girls Club at the Women's Summit
Right.
as our nonprofit professional. But this is an opportunity to really recognize an organization that you feel has done tremendous work. So that is a category we added on this year. We're getting lots of nominations. I'm keeping them all secret. But the night
No, I
of
hate
the
that you do that because we want to know.
it is not easy to keep these things secret, let me
Right.
tell you.
It's true.
But we will announce those winners at the banquet. And that also serves as our annual meeting for the chamber. So we provide online our annual report. And what's contained in that is how many ribbon cuttings did we do? How many members? What's our current membership? What is our income versus expenses? Kind of our annual meeting. We're
Right.
required to do that. But rather than just have a kind of a boring meeting, we want to have a fun meeting. So that's why we combine it with our banquet.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folks may be surprised or maybe be thinking incorrectly that the chamber is a department of the city or something
Yes.
like that. And you are an independent
are.
organization that really is supported by your members.
Exactly. So we are a 501c6 organization, and we are completely independent of the city or the county. We work, of course, very closely and do
Sure.
a lot of collaboration, but as far as funding goes, it is all from our membership dues and those annual. We do three signature events every year. And some funding comes from that, but the majority of it does come from our membership dues. And we have tried really hard. In fact, in the 5 years going into 6 that I've been the CEO, we have not raised our membership dues at all. So they are still exactly what they were 6, 7
Right.
years ago. So we have really tried to keep those membership dues where they've been, but that just means we need to get more members.
Which you've done.
Yes, we do. So we're always out working to do that. And
Large and small, I might add,
Yes,
too, right?
yes.
I mean, there are businesses here, big box businesses and small mom and
Right.
pop businesses, startup businesses that see the value
Right.
of joining the chamber, and they do, and obviously they appreciate that because they're getting something back for their membership.
I think staying involved in the community and being involved in the business community and appreciating our role in advocacy. We are getting ready to go to Santa Fe the end of January for the legislative reception. We just
Right.
had our legislative breakfast on December 4th, and we had about 75 attendees, including some of our elected officials who were able to give us an update on those bills or possible legislation that could be introduced at the session. So a big piece of what we do is the advocacy role. We've had a huge shop local, shop small campaign, which while I appreciate that for the holidays, I think we need to remember to do that all year round because
Right.
while the holidays are important and it's a big time for our local businesses, we need to remember to do that all year. But we've been really pushing that shop small, shop local. In fact, we have a ribbon cutting today at 11:30 for a small business called Stained Glass Concepts. They're over on East Main, and they are a stained glass supply store. They also can go in and buy products that are made of stained glass, and you can take lessons and classes, which is something I really would like to do.
Right.
But we have
In
a
your
ribbon
spare time.
cutting, yeah, in my spare time. But they're a small local business.
Sure.
And then we have another ribbon cutting coming up on the 21st of December for a small local business. So, it's very important that people find out from us, about what are these businesses that are coming into town. And I think on the flip side of that, we've also seen the ones that have closed their doors in the last 6 months, such as Pocket Stone Bakery. That's,
Right.
there's that side of it too, that businesses that just either for whatever reason need to close their doors, that's always difficult to see too. So,
Right.
but shopping local, incredibly important. And so I think, and we also have individual memberships for the chamber. So for $75 a year, you can just kind of show your support for the organization. And we do have quite a few people that join as individuals. Either they're retired or they aren't with a company that belongs to the chamber, but they want to be involved.
Sure.
So they join the
They
chamber.
can join and come to all these cool events.
All these cool
right?
events.
And
That's right.
all of those things. So there you go. Jamie Church is my guest this morning from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. A couple events that are coming up, of course, tomorrow, the Business After Hours, and then, of course, in January, the annual banquet. It's a little earlier this year, right? Because I think last year it was more in February.
It was
seemed
in
like was around
February. It's
Valentine's
closer to
Day.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And we did have a February date picked, but then one of our nonprofit organizations that does a tremendous amount of work, I'd like to give them a shout out, the Tres Rios Habitat for Humanity.
Right.
We, on Facebook, I saw they are having their big banquet on the original date. We were going to have ours. So,
Their
of course,
prime rib dinner, is that the
yes,
one probably?
yes. And
that's a big
so,
deal.
of course, we don't want to ever compete with one of our nonprofits that's
Sure.
doing something. And so we quickly got in touch with the Civic Center and said, what are some open dates? And actually, this is great. We'll have finished the holidays and New Year's will be over. So this is the very end, January 31st. And so we'll all be ready for a good time. So
There you go.
we were happy to be able to move our date. And tickets have gone on sale and tables have gone on sale.
I was going to ask you about that,
yes,
right? And
so,
this probably will sell out, won't it?
yes, it usually does. So tables are $1,000 for 10 seats, and tickets are $100. I mean, we don't do any like crazy math. We just
That's it.
try to keep it a lot of zeros. It's much easier for me. And so anyway, that's what the tables are. But there's live music. We do the announcements. There's all the fun appetizers, and
Right.
it is very much because it's not a plated dinner where you're sitting being served. It very much is very interactive. You're up, you're talking, you're seeing people, you're catching up, you're doing some of that networking, and just a very fun environment. And so yes, it will probably sell out. So don't wait because
Right.
we hate to not accommodate everybody, but because of the food stations, that takes space. So we have to think about where are those food stations going to go? How are people going to navigate through there? So, we have to limit the amount of tables we
Right.
can have. So
Gotcha. But for right now,
there's
a supply.
Yes, there
that
is.
Folks can buy
Yes.
either
Just call the
tables
chamber.
or individual
Yep.
tickets.
Yep. Call the chamber. We'll get you taken care of.
There
So,
you go. And for radio folks, it's 505-325-0279.
yes, that's right.
And you can give the chamber a call and
And we'll get it all figured out.
get a ticket. Very
That's
good. So you mentioned the legislative session that's
Yes.
coming up. Is there
Yes.
anything that's already on your radar that will be coming back to
Yep.
the session?
Two things that are still there that were really important. One of them, paid family medical leave.
That was a big deal last
It is
year,
a big
right?
deal, and it'll be around that. And again, this is not to say that businesses, we aren't supportive of supporting our employees when they need to take that time off to be there for their families. It's not that.
Okay.
It's that this bill, which we haven't seen the bill yet for
But the
this
one
next
last year, I
session.
guess, if it's
Right.
similar, that
It
was the one
is-
you had
I've
some concerns
heard-
with.
Yeah, I've heard it's basically the same.
Okay. And the problem was?
It it's not going to be solvent. That's the problem. So it is a 4.4% tax paid by the employee, and a 0.5% paid by the employer goes into a fund. And then if your employee needs to take paid family medical leave, they can take that. The problem is they can take up to 12 weeks, but it doesn't have to be in a 12-week increment. It could be 4 to 8 hour increments. And so there's also, it's a very loose definition of the family that they're going in to take care of. It also is a concern for these type of organizations that are Medicaid funded. So because Medicaid, that's a set rate.
Right.
And so they can't raise their prices, but they're having to have employees are able to take this time, but then they have to hire other employees to fill in as. So if you are, yes. So, and if you are an organization such as child care or health care or home health care that has to maintain a ratio of so many employees to so many students or children or patients or whatever, and then you've got people out, where are you filling, how are you filling that need for those employees? So if they have to be licensed and trained and you have to maintain that ratio, and then you've got employees that are out. Now, if they were out for 12 weeks solid and you knew that and you could train somebody, but it's not necessarily like that. It could be 16 hours out or a week out. And so it's, and the big concern is that the fund won't be solvent, that it isn't going to have enough, because if everybody takes advantage of this, which probably they will.
It would be their right if this law were to pass, right?
Then you have a fund that is, and then where do you make up that gap? Do you start charging more to the employers and the employees? And remember, and this is also coming out of employees' paychecks too.
Right.
So
you mentioned that's a
issues.
deduction, and so the deduction that comes out of the employee's paycheck and what the employer is putting into that fund, if they were to take that leave, it's not enough to pay for that leave, and so that extra money has to come from somewhere else. And so
it's got to be
that's the
funded.
concern about it.
It's got to be funded somehow. And
Got
so
it.
we're waiting to see the bill. I was on a Zoom call last Thursday with all of the state chambers, and their speaker was the CEO of the New Mexico Restaurant Association. They have huge concerns with this. And we got some more information. Again, we have not seen the bill yet. We're still waiting to see it. And
so maybe some of these concerns have been addressed.
Yes, I hope so. But
you don't
again,
know.
for small businesses and restaurants, and again, those businesses that have to maintain those ratios, it's just difficult. And so while we want to support our employees, and we want to provide, in fact, many of these businesses actually provide already very generous paid time off. Mm-hmm. At the legislative breakfast last week, it was a representative of a nonprofit who stood up and had concerns about this because of the ratio of number of employees they are required to maintain to clients or constituents. Sure. This affects nonprofits too. I think often what happens is people go, and I'm generalizing here, but it's these private businesses. They make so much money, they don't want to support and pay for this. They can afford it. That is not, and that's not true. Yeah. Most of us know small business owners that are struggling. They give so much to their business. We're not talking, these are small businesses in our own community, employers with 10 employees or 20 employees, nonprofits that are going to be affected by this.
Right.
So we are really watching this bill to see, have they changed any of the language? Have they tightened it up a little bit too on who's eligible to take this? Is this to help care for your niece who just had a baby, or is this, are they going to, or is this to help stay home with your spouse who maybe has treatment for cancer or just had a baby? Like, are they tightening this up a little bit with their definition of family, the amount of time that can be taken, and the increments that the time has to be taken in? Because unfortunately, I think in the small business community, what ends up happening is then you go, I know I need another employee, but with all these regulations and all these things.
Right.
And now I might have to have that employee gone for 12 weeks and then hire another employee. Let's just make do with where we are. And so there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And
No, that's really a
Yes.
good perspective, I think, because a
Yes.
lot of folks, when we hear about these things, are like, well, that sounds really good on the surface.
On the surface.
And then you start digging into the nitty gritty,
Right.
which is what the legislature does, and we
Right.
appreciate their time
Right.
doing that.
Right.
And these well-meaning pieces of legislation, then they hear from some of their constituents that say, yeah, but this could cause this, and this unintended maybe
consequences.
And please take another look at this. And that's what you're hoping they do.
Yes. And who's going to administer this? That's another thing. It's going to be administered through, I believe it's New Mexico Workforce Connections, I believe. They're going to, and the projection is they'll have to hire 200 people to administer this, which they already don't have enough people to administer the current things that are in place. And if I
Right.
misspoke and it's not New Mexico Workforce Connections, I apologize. But I know it is a government
gonna be some
agency.
state
It has to
something,
be.
sure,
Some,
that would-
it is not a third party doing it. So they're looking at hiring 200 people to administer it. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And the other states that have done this, it is not solvent. It's not working, and it's not solvent. So it's
Right.
not just that here in New Mexico we're saying we don't want this. We're looking at the other plans in other states where they're saying it's a great idea, but it just didn't have the funding because people take it right away.
Sure.
And then you have a fund that's not solvent. So anyway, there's a lot of concerns with it, and we get the information and we help share it. But our role, of course, is to advocate for the small business community.
Right.
And so we're getting the information and sharing it, but it'll be big. The other one, you asked me about the other one,
Yeah.
the malpractice insurance. We are still fighting against this no cap on malpractice, the awards that are given
Jury
out.
awards or court awards.
Yes, and the malpractice we're seeing in our state it's getting more difficult for insurance companies to underwrite malpractice because there's no cap and the malpractice awards are so high. We're also hearing stories of doctors who are just saying, I'm not going to practice in New Mexico. The malpractice is too high.
Because there's no cap.
Because there's
That's
no
the
cap.
issue.
And so that is an issue, is we are not competitive with our malpractice awards and the insurance that these companies or these doctors, independent doctors, have to pay.
Right.
We are not competitive because of this whole malpractice issue. So when you're a physician or you have a private practice or you're a physician that's looking, where do I establish my practice? Do I establish it in Colorado? And still see patients
from New
because
Mexico,
it's
right.
where you are, where your practice is.
Yeah.
So that is the other one we're watching. And you might argue, well, what does that have to do with business? It has everything to do with it because
Sure.
we are trying to attract people here, young professionals, retirees, families, business owners. They need access to medical care. We live here. We want access.
Right.
We don't want to see our physicians saying, I just can't practice. I can't get coverage for malpractice insurance. It's a big concern. So that's the other bill that we're really, really watching.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And so we'll see. And again,
Yes.
you and a committee or a group from the chamber goes to Santa Fe
We do.
towards the beginning of the session. This is a 60-day session
Right,
this
this
year.
is the
or
60
next
day.
year.
Right.
Which means that there will be more pieces of legislation introduced because they have more time to deal with it, right?
Right, that's
And
right. So
part of the
more
60-day session.
legislation, and I heard that from one of our retiring senators at the legislative breakfast that they receive like there's 3,000 something bills that come through every year, 3,500 bills in a 60-day session. Well, you can't possibly look at all those bills, and a lot of them don't go past committee. But
Right.
I mean, it's
Sure.
a lot in a 60-day session. So we will be up there the 27th, 28th. So legislative reception. But if there's a bill that's coming up, like let's say paid family medical leave, and they're going to do a hearing on it, if possible, I will try to go to
Yeah.
be there. Because as the chamber and the voice of the business community, we just want to make sure we are sharing this information with our members and our non-members, but that we're also advocating for the business community. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, very important. And so we appreciate you doing that.
Sure.
And again, and providing that really, that different perspective. Because again,
Right.
as I said, I think a lot of folks hear the bill and say, well, that's a great idea. I
Right.
think all employees should have that. But then when they hear maybe what the unintended consequences are
Right.
for the business owners and the small business owners especially,
Right.
and nonprofits, as you
Right.
mentioned,
Right.
it's a whole different story.
It's
Which
just so many
yeah.
things too. be thinking of when you want to start a business. And there's some businesses that are exempt from it. I mean, I think if you're, a sole proprietor, you don't have any employees, you're exempt.
Right.
But
I'm going on leave.
I'm going on leave. But and that there might be some other exemptions in there too. And they are trying to look at where, because they really heard that message from these businesses or companies that are funded by Medicaid and things like that. They did listen to that last year. It was part of the reason the bill was defeated. Sorry, if
Right.
blow my nose.
That's all right. Very good.
But
Good to know.
it's important. So that's what we're keeping our eye on this year. And there might be some other things that pop up too, but that's why our chambers in the state really have conversation, because we share this information and then get it out to our chamber members.
Right.
And we want to hear from you if you support the bill too. If you are a business owner and you really support this bill, we want to hear from you. And we want to know why. And we want to hear from these employees maybe that have been affected. And we do want to hear from everybody on this. We want to share these stories, but we also want to make sure that if this bill is passed, that it's going to be around and it's going to be administered correctly, and that it's just got some things we're watching. So.
Sure. Well, and it's affordable for the folks that are having to use it and pay for it.
Because if it's not solvent, the money's going to come from somewhere.
Right.
And so most likely what will happen is those percentages that are being paid in will go up.
Right. Which is less in your paycheck.
Right.
So there
exactly.
you go. Before we run out of time, a reminder about the event tomorrow. No, that's okay. But you're on a roll. I didn't want to stop you.
I'm on a roll. Sorry.
That's important. But Business After Hours is happening tomorrow, everyone, beginning at 5 o'clock at the Courtyard by Marriott, 560 Scott Avenue. And I haven't been down there in a while. They've been renovating, I think, for the Courtyard by Marriott. So it'll be nice to see the hotel. But food drive, door prizes, photo booth, dancing, holiday games, all of that. And again, bringing in some non-perishable food gets you into some of these other events, drawings, and you may go home with more cash. Who knows?
That's right. So bring in that food. Echo, this is their biggest time of year for food donations. And of course, people don't just need food around the holidays, they need it all year.
True.
But this is their biggest time through not just this event, but all the different places that are collecting food. So really great time to come together for one last great event before we hit 2025.
That's right.
I know it.
Very exciting.
Yep.
Very good. Well, Jamie, thanks for coming in. Good to see you. See you tomorrow night.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there giving out tickets for the food.
Good. Okay. Good to know. Jamie Church, my guest this morning from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce here on KSJE. KSJE and the San Juan College Native American Center present the Student Study Tip of the Week.
Hi, my name is Latoya, and I'm coming to you with the study tips of the week. Continuing from the previous points, taking breaks is important. Breaks give you a boost of productivity, resets, and prevent burnout. It might seem like you need to use all the time you possibly can to study, back to back, but your brain will start to slow down if you don't give it a chance to relax. Taking breaks can help you get the most out of your study time with the least amount of stress.
The Student Study Tip of the Week is presented by the San Juan College Native American Center and KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.